And today we are talking with Marcus. Thanks for joining us, Marcus.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit, or very briefly, like what exactly you do in the industry and what is a range of income somebody can hope to make doing that job?
Well, I do two jobs, actually. I do location support personnel, or an LSP, or I do a locations PA. One is union, one's not. The LSP, you can make 40, 50 a year, but as a PA, you can make upwards of 100 if you work the hours.
And so the PAs, I always see you guys and ladies are always first to show up, last to leave. So your hours must be pretty extravagant then to be able to make that kind of an income. Like you are really working.
Yeah, I made over 100 one year, but I think I worked a solid 10 months with barely a day off, and a lot of the hours were 14 hours, 18-hour days. You sometimes only had a 15-hour weekend. So yeah, it's very busy. There's a lot of difference in it. And yeah, we are the last out right until every piece of garbage is picked up off the floor, believe me.
And so is LSP and PA within a union, or is that independent, or how do those two departments kind of intertwine?
Well, basically an LSP is a security support person, and this is what you would this is what you would do before you became a PA. Because being a PA is a unionized job, and you have to go to an apprentice program to do it, which means you have to have so many hours working in the industry, and an LSP gives you those hours. So it's not a unionized job, but it helps get you into the union.
Interesting. So then how does one get into just being an LSP in the first place?
There's a few companies around, location support companies around the city. You can give them a call. They're always hiring people. A lot of it is because a lot of their LSPs move up to become PAs, so they keep losing people, so they've got to keep hiring people. So there's a few in town. Look up location support personnel.
Now, where does your department kind of end? Like, do you go LSP, location service, and then production assistant, and then what's kind of after that?
Well, the next level is scouting and assistant location manager. We have people that literally go out to scout the locations. They look for, like, say you want a barn, a red barn with a black fence around it. We would have people or a database that we would look for something like that. And the scout would go out, scout the location. And then the assistant location manager would go and help prep the location, which is where I know you from. But above that, there's a location manager, and then a lot of location people end up becoming production managers. So you can move right up there, making a pretty penny at the end.
Yes, that is kind of, yes, yeah, they kind of become the PM there and get that nice big paycheck. Now, what is the kind of time frame that you're looking at to be able to move from up the lines in that case?
Well, from an LSP to a PA, it takes probably about a year to get all the training in, but you have to wait for the DGC, which is the Directors Guild of Ontario, to start the GAP program, and they do that every 6 months. So it can be a year to a year and a half before you can be eligible to become a PA. And then once you're in the union, once you become a PA, you can move up to ALM pretty quickly if you show enough initiative and show up to work on time and do your job and don't ask when wrap is. And you can move up a bit.
Right, there you go. What kind of training do you need? Like you said that there are some certain criteria, you need to learn some stuff along the way. What are those items that people need to be learning along that way to be able to move up to the next levels?
Well, you don't necessarily need to have had any high school, post-secondary school education, but the courses are along the lines of we even learn rigging, we learn safety, we learn how to scout, we learn all sorts of different things, how to enter a neighborhood, because that's a really big thing, because we shoot in a lot of locations that people don't always let us into, so you've got to learn how to deal with the public. So there's all sorts of little courses.
Nice. Now, when you were mentioning the type of training that is kind of needed or that you get? Like, where are you getting that? Is that on the job training? Is that something that there's some websites or something that we need to know, but you need it beforehand? Like, how do you kind of get that training?
The actual physical work is on the job. It's the guys that you work with are more than happy to help you out because they want their job to go well. They want to make sure their job is done well. So no one's going to muck you around and send you for buckets of blue steam in this job, right?
Unlike some other departments.
As far as the other training itself goes, they are run through the Directors Guild of Canada, and they but they used to do them at White's. There was an office there, but now they're all done online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you walk us through a little bit of like what an average day looks like for you when you are showing up to set? What does that look like when you show up to kind of like what you leave at the end of the day?
Basically, my job is to show up and set up the area. Tents, makeup mirrors, lunch rooms. We have to make sure that there's garbage cans everywhere with enough fresh bags in it. We have to make sure that everything is set up for when the crew walks in. They literally just walk in and don't have to worry about anything. And trust me, if you've forgotten something like a roll of toilet paper in the washroom, the first thing you hear is locations to 2, locations to 2. You will get sick of the radio.
Well, just even just showing up on set, I think a lot of us will take for granted, right? We've just finished our breakfast, and there's always a garbage can around, right? And we never think about, you know, that individual that thought about where he's going to just even be putting those cans out for the rest of the department. And when it's not there, how much of an inconvenience is it, an annoyance when like somebody's in your ears, you know, trying to walk you to hurry up and get to set, and now you just don't want to be throwing the stuff on the ground.
And we also have to figure out where you're shooting during the day, because some places you can have like 3 or 4 different locations that you go to shoot to, so we've got to make sure we're ready at the location, the next place, or the next set, or everything. So we're kind of like your little engine, right? If you don't have the gas, you're not going to get going. So
With what you were mentioning earlier is that you have a pretty interesting story of how you even got into the industry.
Well, basically, at the age of 50, I found myself unemployed. I'd been in the service industry for many, many years, and I found myself 50 and unemployed, couch surfing, spent a couple of weeks in my car, and I got this job doing a poker league around bars, which is paying me literally $70 a night. And I met this gentleman, Mike Bruce, who said to me, you know, am I interested in doing something other than making $70 a night? And at first I said no, because I thought he was asking me to do background work, which I'd done before. And about 2 months later, he comes up and he goes, why didn't you ever get a hold of me? And I'm going, I don't want to do background. And he said, it's not background work. And I ended up getting on as an LSP, working on the show Bitten. I don't know if you ever heard of it. And my life changed. I now, I can buy my own clothes and not have to shop at Value Village, even though I still do. Right? But no, it changed my life. This business literally saved my life, I'd have to say, because I was pretty much down then. And it's not a boring job, so you're never going to be like pencil pushing or answering phone calls, which is a dull job. You get to go to different locations and see different things and meet all sorts of incredible people, and you get to learn. You can move up as far as you want to move up. Okay, like I can sit and do my job that I'm doing now, be happy making 50 grand a year until, you know, for the next 10 years, right? Or if I have a little more initiative, I can work my way up. It's easy to work your way up in this business, and it's a decent business to do it in too. And you know what? You meet a bunch of good people. Once you get in with a good crew, it's actually a really cool job.
Yeah, so the hardest part of your job then?
Well, before, when I was new at it, I used to panic a lot at the beginning of the day because you had to be there on time. You had to get there on time. And if you were late, people would start yelling at you. 10 years in, it's still a bit of a panic to get to work. I still stress out about it, but I don't worry about it so much. Now the hardest part of the jobs are when you have to go and set up a tent city at the last minute in the woods at -20 at 3 o'clock in the morning with no lights, and you've got to set up lights, and the director's yelling at you, we need the shot from over here. And you're running around with these giant tents trying to get up the tent sides. And yeah, it can be a bit panicky. Everyone wants everything a minute ago. But yeah, I'd say that's the worst part of the job is the panic on certain times. But like I said, after a while, you stop panicking and you just say, okay, just deal with it, and you do.
But I also grew up under the thing where like to be early is to be on time is to be late is to be fired, right?
Absolutely. And one of the worst things about nowadays is people don't seem to understand that rule. People tend, like if your shift starts at 7, people show up at 5 to 7, and then you've got 15 minutes of stuff to explain to them to do before they can start their shift. No, your shift starts at 7, show up with enough time. And you get along with people more that way too, right?
Now, one of the things I've personally seen really difficult about your job is when we're driving our lifts to set, and you guys have got the huge mats that you're laying down. Like those are through the mud, through some like your job. You're not necessarily staying clean all the time. Like you're really getting dirty and you're really getting in the grinds.
I have a separate washer for my work clothes and from my regular clothes. Because, I mean, sometimes I had a job last year on Umbrella Academy, and it was at a place called White's Lot, which has no power, no running water. And I had to run these 6 diesel generators, heaters, all day just to keep the sets warm. And that means running back and forth to the petrol station, getting gas, and I'm talking 15 to 20 jerry cans at a time.
Wait, the transport department wasn't helping you out with that? Like that was
We tried to get that. We tried to get the giant thing to come and fill the generators up, but they wouldn't do it. So yeah, at the end of the day, I can see my boots were ruined and everything. So yeah, don't wear your Sunday best to work. Right? Ironic T-shirts, ripped up jeans. That's what everyone wears, like this kind of thing, right? Just.
Are you looking for people to take an initiative on set in your area, or do you want, or should people more when they start showing up, just starting more kind of sit back and wait to be given orders and stuff like that, or given jobs?
We are normally, when we show up, we normally have a set of things to do. Like we know what we've got to do. We got a thing called a call sheet that tells us everything that's going on during that day. We should, if I have people show up in the morning, I should know what to tell them to do, where to direct them, what is going to go on for the majority of that day. So we don't, the only time things change is when the director decides he wants to do a different shot in some other place and we got to fly. But other than that, no, everyone should know their job when they come in.
A question I get asked so often is just like, can I do this job? Do I have enough experience or training? What would you say to somebody like that?
I'd say that there's enough people who love their job in this industry that if you want to become a cameraman, you can walk up to a cameraman and start talking to them and they will, but people will like to, I don't think you have to worry about having experience, is what I'm saying. I think you learn a lot more on the job than you do when you're being told. I mean, take advice from the elders, as you obviously should, but always take advice and then make it your own a little bit. Like if you have something that you do better or you've seen an improvement in something, always offer that to the person. If they decide to take it, they do.
And then one of my favorite parts of our interview is just talking stories. I love hearing people's stories. Like this is one of the things that we're just always doing is sharing stories. Some stories, of course, we can share on camera. Other stories we can't really share on camera. But for those, is there a story that you would share with your fellow colleagues, or that was just a really cool experience, something really neat that you got to do that you're like, oh, like, you know, that type of thing?
Well, it's always cool when you get to do something. Like I was working on the movie It, and it was blazingly hot. And there were times when a air conditioner had to be, literally a portable air conditioner had to be put on Pennywise's face because it was melting. It was literally melting. We were filming on Queen Street in this little place above a store, and there was no air conditioning, no airflow or nothing.
And is this one of those big air conditioners where like the hose is 3 feet wide?
You literally got to stand there holding it like this, and it's like you've got the guy and it's like blowing on his face. Now he's standing there. It was in the Genie's apartment scene where he springs out. It was really funny. You're watching his face kind of go down. Hold on, makeup. So yeah, that was kind of funny. That was a kind of a cool thing. But you see all sorts of stuff. I have a favorite movie called Fever Pitch. from England. It's an English movie. I'm originally from England. And I met this guy in a lunchroom on the show Anne. And I started speaking to him because I noticed he had an English accent. And I told him where I was from in England. And he goes, oh, I filmed my movie there. We used the Fulham pitch for it. And I said, what movie? He goes, Fever Pitch. I'm like, it was my favorite movie. And there's a director right there. So yeah, all sorts of really cool things happen on this business. Plus, I met you.
Fair enough, and that's really good for myself. Like I love filming at 777 Kipling because there's that one hallway where all the studios let out into, and I loved before they changed it, you would be able to just sit there on one of the benches, and just as lunchtime comes, you know, you'd have some sci-fi movie with aliens walking in the corridor. You'd have a medieval knights coming through.
Handmaid's Tale was filmed there, so you had all the handmaidens going through.
Absolutely right. It's just one of those cool collections of just seeing such a variety of sorts of people walking through the same hallway, and then you'd have like some demon sitting and having lunch with some knight, having lunch with some nun, and having
I filmed Titans there.
Yes.
And one of the really cool things is I was a huge Batman fan growing up as a kid, and I got to hang out in the Batcave. I mean, come on, there's a Batcave there. I got to sit in Batman's desk, right? I mean, come on, you can't beat that.
Absolutely. And you can see, like, you're still having fun with this, and you're still so excited.
61 years old and still going.
And
I'm actually having to grow this to embrace the gray.
Fair enough. Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed your time watching. I hope you've learned a little bit about being an LSP and being a PA. I hope you would be curious about maybe getting into this part of the field. Now, none of this, of course, can be possible without Make the Films. Make sure to check them out for all your studio, grip, camera, and lighting needs. Until next time, stay tuned. We'll see you on the next one.